I want to point out something that might startle some people. Thoughts that you get for cigarettes weeks or months or years after you quit smoking may hit harder than the urges you had the first few days. Now, that's a startling statement. This is something that could panic some people, especially who are first quitting smoking, thinking like, oh, what they're going through now, oh, it's going to be worse, years from now. That's not what it's saying. They hit you harder. It's not that they're stronger. It's not that they last as long, but they catch you much more off guard. See, when you were having urges the day you quit smoking, well, if you had an urge at 10 a.m., it was no big deal. You probably had an urge at 9:55 a.m. You may have had one at 9:53 before that. You were having them all the time. Everything you're doing was new, triggering the circumstance. On top of that, you had physical withdrawal going on. But the advantage you had in the beginning was you were prepped for it. You kind of knew it was going to happen. You didn't know for sure because it may not have occurred, but if you had a bad withdrawal, hey, it happened. It was tough. But you had your motivation up for why you'd quit smoking. It was very fresh in your mind. You were having frequent thoughts. Again, some people just say they have one urge a day when they quit smoking. It hit them when they woke up. It went away when they went to sleep at the nighttime, and then they dreamt about smoking all night. It was chronic. But by being chronic, you had to keep reminding yourself of what you were doing and why you were doing it, and that was giving you the ammunition to get through it. When you start going longer time periods without smoking and without thinking about smoking, and this is what happens after you quit, eventually you'll start to go days and then weeks and months where you don't think about smoking. But then something will trigger. It'll be a circumstance. It'll be a smell, an aroma, a song, a person, a situation. It'll trigger the thought. Now you have to understand, you haven't thought about smoking now for days or weeks or months. You haven't had to talk yourself out of smoking in all that time period because you haven't had a thought for a cigarette. You forgot smoking in a sense. You may remember good cigarettes every now and then, but you forgot smoking. You forgot the reasons that you quit. So now when the thought comes, you're totally unprepared and it catches you so off guard, then it panics you. And you can start to think like, oh my gosh, this is as bad as when I smoked. It is different than the urges you had when you first quit smoking. The difference being, it's psychological. It's a trigger. You can consciously control it. You could consciously squelch it. The trick is how to do that. And the way to do that is pull back why you quit smoking. Pull back what it was like to be a smoker into your conscious memory. Because what happens is you go longer and longer, you forget smoking. You forget every bad cigarette you ever smoked. You forget the expense issues. You forget the social issues, the aroma issues. You forget just all the problems, the medical implications that you may have already been experiencing. You forget it all. And what happens is you start to just remember a good cigarette. And it may be a great cigarette you're remembering. It may be one of the best ones you ever had in your life. It may be one you smoked 20 or 30 years earlier, but that's the one you're thinking about without giving consideration to all the other ones that go with it and all the problems that go with those others. This is where the trick comes in of trying to keep reminding yourself that you don't smoke anymore and you don't want to smoke anymore. And when the thought does come, to pull back those initial reasons of why you quit. I have a number of videos already addressing all these issues on many fronts. The difference between the physical and psychological urges, the fact that thoughts will stop over time, the importance of keeping your reasons of why you quit smoking prevalent, even at times where you don't think about smoking, just reminding yourself that you're proud that you did this and you want to stick with it. So the videos that I will attach in the description will really address this on a number of different angles. But understand, thoughts will happen. Things will trigger it. Don't let them panic you. Startle you, maybe, but don't let them panic you. Pull back your initial reasons of why you quit, why you don't want to be a smoker again. See cigarettes in their entirety. And as long as you can continue to do this, you'll be able to squelch those urges when they occur. They're psychological, not physical. You will have conscious control to be able to squelch them. And the way to do that is remembering cigarettes how they were in their entirety, remembering you don't want to go back to that way of life, and as long as you don't want to be a person either having to go through quitting again or through smoking again, it's just remembering to stick to the personal commitment that you hopefully made the day you stopped to never take another puff.